The war against aliens is coming. Are you ready for it?
The biggest part of this story isn't the extraterrestrial part of it, ironically. That's secondary. And in fact, people who have been in these covert programs that are very disinformation oriented have wanted the public to believe we're not alone, but that there's a threat from outer space. And most of you who are familiar with my work know what Werner von Braun, through his spokesperson for the last 5 years of his life, Carol Rosin, said when he was dying, and in 1974 said the whole purpose of these covert programs, one of the big overarching purposes, is to be able to hoax a attack or an alien threat and present the extraterrestrial presence, the threat, so that they can consolidate military power, industrial power, and also pivot the population through fear into realizing there's another enemy to fight.
There's a lot of evidence these things are coming out of the ocean, including videotape of these objects coming out of the water at high speed, or even more amazing, descending at Mach 3 into the water. And then, of course, we have a huge submarine fleet. What the fuck? Then we have a huge submarine fleet, and they have recorded these objects doing hundreds of knots underwater. So, let's just stop there. These things are moving at impossibly high speeds. So let's just apply common sense for 1 second. If I take a 45 caliber handgun and fire it at you underwater in, say, a swimming pool, 50 feet away, you can catch the bullet because the resistance is so strong from the water that objects can't move that fast underwater. We know that.
Is there like aliens are living in the Earth's core or some shit?
I have no idea. I'd only be speculating, but there is, I want to restate, videotape of these objects of unknown origin hitting the water and disappearing and then coming out of the water.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying we're going to be fighting these things, but how do you fight something like that? If it were to come down to it, we were actually like at war with aliens and had to like protect ourselves. How do you fight back against that? We're screwed. Simple as that.
This is scary. You ever heard about the Prophecy of the Popes? It's a 12th century prophecy hidden in the Vatican's archives. You know, the library that's said to contain the deepest secret of the world. It claims to list every pope from the year 1143 right up to, guess who? Pope Francis, our current pope. But here's the terrifying part. It just stops. Right there. No pope after him, only 2 words. Judgment Day. Yeah, it sounds dramatic, but it just started getting weird. Inside St. Paul's Basilica, there's a spot for every pope's portrait, circling the sanctuary. But the design leaves only one empty slot after Pope Francis. They say that when that final spot is filled, it's the end. Simple as that. Now here's where it twists. So, according to the prophecy, the time between the first pope listed and the midpoint pope in 1585 was 422 years. Now add another 422 years from there, and you land on 2027. Coincidence? Think again. And if that wasn't enough, Pope John the 23rd himself supposedly said the end would come exactly 2,000 years plus Christ's lifetime. Do the math. You get, 2027, that's 3 times. 3 predictions, all pointing to the same year. That's not just a random guess, that's a countdown, and it's ticking.
Okay, so what if the aliens are here? We get full disclosure in 2025, which I've seen a bunch of videos saying that we would have that, and it seems like they're starting to release stuff like Area 51 and different things like that. And what if the disclosure happens so they can actually tell us like what they're preparing for? Like, oh, we're preparing for an alien invasion in 2027, and then the world ends in 2027. Maybe they're just telling us a little bit about the aliens and stuff now because like there's no avoiding it, and they basically need us to not be freaking out when everything hits the fan because they need our help to obviously try to save the planet.
Guys, the mayor of New Jersey has just come out and confirmed what we've read in the 4chan leaks. So this 4chan leak was over a week ago, and just in the last 24 hours, the mayor's come out and confirmed what we read in that thread, as well as Tim Burchett. We're talking about orbs coming from below crush depth up in the ocean into the sky and literally transforming in front of your eyes into a drone. These are the words of the mayor of New Jersey. I've got his footage. I've got the whole 4chan thread as well. I read through the whole thing, and we've got videos of these orbs turning into drones. And the most wild part is you basically see my brain melt on stream live, because as I was reading it, I realized there was a huge connection to what this whistleblower was talking about and the MH370 abduction videos. Yes, these wild videos here that are very hard to believe, but this is very interesting, and there are links. So guys, go and check out the video because it will blow your mind. I've just been sent the craziest video of this whole drone UFO plasma saga. So shout out to UFOs around the world. He tagged me in this one. This is what appears to be an object in the sky firing some kind of weapon at different rates of speed. There's two videos. I'll show you both of them. I'm not really sure what to make of this. I think this has just come out and it could possibly get debunked. I don't really know, but I just thought this video looks so insane that it's just worth sharing and having a discussion about. So check this out.
Motherfucker.
That's the better quality video. This second video isn't as clear, but what you can see looks way crazier. Check this one out.
Holy cow. That thing is completely stationary shooting.
So those videos look pretty wild, especially considering what's been going on. I thought it was worth sharing.
I mean, it's definitely something to think about. Obviously, as an American, I'd like our military to have things that were available in order to protect us. But at the same time, it's very unnerving for them to have something like a drone with a 50 cal that has the ability to just go anywhere it wants and take out any target it wants, right?
Now, this Galactic Federation, this is not the first time it's ever come up. It's come up by actual government officials. I remember the Canadian Minister of Defense actually brought this up on an actual mainstream news interview. And he says they have a federation. He said a galactic federation of sorts, and they're watching us. And I think to add more evidence to this is you look at the 2001 and 2003 disclosure that happened on the press club organized by Dr. Stephen Greer that aired on CNN News. You had former military nuclear missile engineers. You had former military nuclear silo guards. They came forth to testify that while they were working in broad daylight, UFOs showed up at these flights. Flights are nuclear silos, and deactivated the nukes while they were standing there. They would deactivate them. And to me, that's another warning. That's potentially this Galactic Federation saying, hey, we're not even going to let you destroy yourself, yet alone anybody else. I believe that, it's evidence to me that there's some level of protection out there for us that's allowing us to continue to try to mature and grow on our own with no outside interference.
So in my last video, or the one before, I can't remember, I said something about a video I saw talking about a nuclear blast here on Earth affects time and space. So it wouldn't just affect us, it would affect literally the entire solar system, maybe universe. I don't know how that works. I'm not a space doctor, but I can see why aliens, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, would be interjecting when we have nuclear weapons. They're like, okay, we have to watch these guys because they're going to shit up for the rest of us.
I honestly, sincerely, and unequivocally do not expect any of your audience to believe any of this. Robert Bigelow said to me, they're walking among us. What do you mean they're walking among us? He said, they're walking among us. They live right here. Before I say this guy legitimately is in a position to know a lot more than I know. He had the government contracts. He had the contacts. He had the intellectual heavyweights in the scientific community all working for him. This guy definitely knows a lot, no question. And the guy's a billionaire. And then the fact that he's hoarding it all and it's under armed guard in a vault at his house, it kind of pisses me off a little bit. He says, James, do you understand the implications of disclosure? He said the economy would collapse, organized religion would collapse. I'm not saying that I believe this. I'm just telling you what he said to me.
If the Nephilim were destroyed in the flood, then how in the world did they reappear after the flood?
Right.
And we can conjecture that there was a second incursion that took place again. And we can also conjecture that there's going to be another incursion at the end of the age. Because in Luke 21:11, Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be again in the days before the coming of the Son of Man. And Jesus gave these signs. He gave the regular signs: wars, rumors of wars, famines, pestilence. And then he added two things in Luke 21:11. He said there'll be great signs from the heavens and fearful sights. Well, in Greek, it uses a little preposition apo. And a better translation would be, there will be great signs coming down from the heavens. And Jesus is literally saying, at the very end of the age, you'll know you've sailed to the very end of time when people become obsessed with things coming down out of the heavens. And then he says, and fearful sights, and that is the Greek word phobotron. And the word phobotron is derived from phobos, the Greek word for fear. But when the word fear, phobos, becomes phobotron, it only has one meaning, just one. And Jesus knew that. It's the word for monsters.
Bro, he was spitting. And Jesus come with the dark light. He put out a rap album just full of scripture, Bible verses. I'd buy it.
For years, scientists referred to large portions of our DNA as junk. These segments, which make up nearly 98% of the human genome, were thought to have no real function. Leftovers from our evolutionary past, genetic clutter with no purpose. But as research has advanced, that assumption has been turned on its head. It turns out this so-called junk might not be junk at all. In fact, it could hold some of the biggest secrets about our origins. At first glance, the idea of useless DNA made sense. When scientists began decoding the genome, they focused on the protein coding regions, sections that directly impact things like eye color, height, and the functioning of our organs. Everything else was dismissed as evolutionary leftovers. But now, researchers are discovering that these non-coding regions influence which genes turn on and off, how cells develop, and even how our bodies respond to the environment. If 98% of our DNA isn't junk, then what is it? It could be evidence of intentional design. These non-coding regions could contain dormant instructions, markers left behind by those who engineered us, or even encrypted messages that we haven't yet deciphered. The junk DNA is filled with repetitive sequences. Some scientists argue that these repetitions are simply evolutionary byproducts, while others suggest they might serve a deeper purpose, perhaps acting as a form of genetic storage or communication. Despite skepticism, there are undeniable anomalies. Certain sequences in junk DNA appear to have no known function yet are remarkably conserved across generations, meaning they have persisted without change for millions of years.
You mean there's a black pyramid in Antarctica, and it was built as a prison? For who?
For us, humanity. You think you're just living your life, but the truth is way bigger than what we've been told. Miles beneath Antarctica's ice lies this massive, ancient structure, an enormous black pyramid. It's not some random formation. It's a relic from a time long before humanity existed. See, ancient texts and whispered knowledge talk about a highly advanced alien race. These beings waged galactic wars both on Earth and across the universe. And Antarctica? Yeah, it was the center of it all. Knowledge, technology. Some even say it was the real Atlantis. And guess what? There was more than one Atlantis. That's why this one is hidden so deep. It's part of something bigger. But back to your question. Why a prison? It's wild. The beings who built this pyramid created humans as part of their grand plan. We weren't meant to evolve freely. They needed us to stay limited, stuck in physical form, trapped here on Earth. That's where the Black Pyramid comes in. It's more than just a structure. It's a complex device designed to control energy, both physical and spiritual. Some say the pyramid acts like a barrier between what's inside us and the larger universe. That's why people say we're spiritual beings having a human experience. The Black Pyramid locks us into this experience. And what's scarier, the knowledge about it was buried on purpose. Everything is hidden in plain sight, if you know where to look.
All right, everybody, grab your shovels. It's time to do some digging. We got to find that thing. Got to find that thing, get rid of it. Get our souls back. Take control of what's ours. Let me know what you think about all this. Give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see in the next one.